Welcome to another edition of the Lakers Fast Break. My name is Jamie Sweet, and this is our spotlight on Lakerholics weekend with my guests Laker Tom and Michael H. And we're here to talk all things Lakers, specifically recent things Lakers, specifically the flurry of activity over the last 24 to 29 hours, depending on your time zone. Let's get right to it. First, I know Joe wanted us to talk about D'Lo opting in, LeBron potentially taking less, to which we'll see about that. Jackson Hayes opting in. But I know that on the blog, we've gone back and forth for about 5 months now, 4 months now, 6 months, longer if you count Tom starting trades basically as soon as December 1st hits.
Why wait till December 1st?
I know. No, I know.
Open all year round.
Legally, no, but in your mind, yes. There are rules for that sort of thing, but that doesn't really matter. I mean, we can talk about them, I guess. It just doesn't seem to matter. Anywho, DeJounte Murray was traded not to the Los Angeles Lakers like every Laker insider has been talking about for the last 6 months. Yet another reason you should have just not. I mean, feel free to read their articles. I'm not saying don't consume information. Feel free to absorb the information they present to you. Just maybe take it all with a grain of salt is my point. Nobody saw this trade coming, like most trades that we see in the NBA. It's never the ones that they report ad nauseum, ceaselessly, endlessly on TV and on blogs and on podcasts and so on and so forth. It's always something like this that is on the surface sort of underwhelming. But if you look at it from the Hawks' perspective, it actually starts to make a lot of sense. And Michael, you kind of brought this up yesterday on the blog, so I'd like for you to explain what you saw when you saw this trade.
Well, what I saw was the biggest question going into the offseason was, what were the Hawks going to do? Were they going to go to a full rebuild? Were they going to try and be, competitive while they retooled? When they made this trade, it was pretty clear that their intent is to rebuild. They had a great young Johnson, a great young breakout forward last year. They picked up another forward this year with the French kid. And when you look at this trade, they kind of win on it because they get a couple of, they get our pick next year, and then another one in 27 that they can use right away for a rebuild. They get a 6'8" combo guard that can defend with a big upside, and they get $11 million expiring contract that they can flip. And if they can't flip it, well, it falls off the books, and they need contract. They're still too high as far as the quality of their team. They're paying too much, so they can any way that can cut costs moving forward is going to be huge. I got a feeling that Larry Nance will be of value to somebody to where they can drop him off and get some asset for him. But yeah, it made when you look at it that way, it made a lot of sense.
I tend to agree because they got picks that translate in the next couple of years as opposed to 5 years out, which is what they would have gotten from us. Pick swaps, sure, yada yada, but I think teams, if they can, prefer to own the picks outright because and then they just have more assets to move, not kind of like a shared asset. Because when you pick swap, you're really just saying like, oh, well, we'll both keep our pick, and it's not like you actually gain anything. You're just sort of trading places in line. And I'm not saying that that's not valuable. It's just not as valuable as outright owning a pick. And I think that expiring money is going to start to become more and more of a trading chip if it's not a player of high impact. And if you look at D'Lo, if you look at Hachimura on Atlanta, are those guys that turn them around? No, they're not. D'Lo and Murray are almost the same player. You could argue that Murray's a little bit better of a defender. D'Lo's a little bit better of a scorer. They're both okay playmakers. Neither one wows me with their playmaking. And Hachimura and Lance, I would argue that Hachimura's got more upside, but that Lance is a more solid contributing role player right now because he can be a small ball center. He shoots the three. I mean, he's not like a lights out 3-point shooter, but he's willing to take the open three when it's there. And he's a great locker room guy. And he's been, and he was a great locker room guy in Cleveland. He's a great locker room guy in New Orleans. His only knock is that he tends to get hurt for about a month or so every season. But that's expiring money. So even if they just ride the season out and he walks, they're going to get some cap relief at the end of the season. And that's not a lot of the contracts that the Lakers can offer, unfortunately. Not too a lot of the contracts the Lakers can offer that are attached to a player you would want are for multiple years. So you have to really either believe in that player, which there's a reason we got Hachimura because the Wizards stopped believing in him. Same with a lot of the guys we got, right? I mean, a lot of the guys we got sort of got shuffled to us because nobody else saw them as having tremendous upside and they were looking for a higher impact player. I would imagine that's my guess. It's just a guess. And so I just thought that made a lot of sense when I read it yesterday, Michael. I was like, yeah, that actually really pans out quite logically. And it's unfortunate because, I would have loved to have seen Murray on the Lakers. I think that what this really comes down to is that the Lakers value Reeves more than they wanted to get Murray. They're going to have to pay picks to get Murray. They're going to have to make the money work to get Murray. And they already have Reeves. And Reeves and Murray have a lot of overlap. They have a lot of overlap in terms of their skill sets and their impact on winning, in my opinion. And Reeves is cheaper. And so for the Lakers, I think that's what made the most sense as well, right? Like, do we want to kind of what will end up probably being looked at as an overpay for a guy that we kind of already have and that we already believe in? And that already fits in with LeBron and fits in with AD, and they all get along and fits in with D'Lo. He and D'Lo are buddies. So I think from the Lakers standpoint, it kind of ended up making up a lot of sense as well to not overpay for a player like Murray. I would still like to see them make a move. What are your thoughts on all that, Tom?
I was disappointed that they didn't overpay for Murray, and I guess
I knew you would be. I knew you would be.
Well, it comes down to it. What I think is just really. This is what bothers me about the Lakers front office, that there's not a decision maker there. It's sort of like, hey, guys, you want to take a vote? Linda? There's certain people, and who knows whether they really ever even make their opinion known. But it's just so, you keep hearing that there's a division in the room about how valuable DeJounte Murray is. Is he a superstar or not? Murray falls into the same category that Mikal Bridges did, that Lauri Markkanen does, that are players that are making in the mid-20s. They're about mid-20s years old. They're guys who could take the next step and be a star with a bigger role on a better team. And they're by far the kind of investment that the Lakers need to make because of the salaries that they've already got with LeBron and AD. And then, I think it comes down to, I think you're right about the Reeves thing, because what you've got in Reeves is a guy who has, he's a guy who probably should be, because he's in his mid-20s and he should be probably making mid-20s. But because of the way the Lakers got him as an undrafted player and so forth, they were able to finagle it around so that they got him on a cheap contract. And then I'm sure that part of that cheap contract is why you don't want to let him go, because he's the kind of player that's extremely valuable if you're even thinking about a third star and knowing that you have to find a replacement for LeBron at some point in time. So I was hoping that, just like I thought in the draft, the addition of J.J. Redick really made sure that we were not going to let a three-point shooter like Dalton get by us, when he fell to us. I was hoping that we'd see the same thing, because one of the things that Murray is he's a volume three-point shooter. And I really value, and I think JJ really values volume three-point shooters. But I think that there's, it's interesting. This whole thing and this whole situation that we just talked about then draws right into the situation with LeBron, saying that apparently being willing for the, quote, right players on the MLE to take maybe $12 to $16 million less than, on his contract. And from what I'm guessing, if I'm listening to this right, it's per year that we're talking about, because it's dealing with the salary cap, which is only done 1 year at a time.
Yeah.
So you're talking about not a minor tweak. We're talking about a substantial give up of money by him.
Can I jump in with one more comment on Murray before we move on?
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
One of the things that might have been an issue with the Lakers is the reason you would get Murray was because of defense. I mean,
he did make an all-defensive
D'Lo is
team.
a much
He did make
better
an all-defensive
shooter
team
than Murray is. Now, the thing about Murray's defense has been sliding for years now. When he made that second team All NBA, he had Kawhi Leonard on the team, Derek White. They had LaMarcus Aldridge, a decent defensive center, Danny Green. So I'm sure he had a tremendous year, but you can have tremendous years when you have that kind of cast around you. Since then, every single year it's slid off, slid down until the last year it was 119 something, which is more than either D'Lo or Reeves' rating.
Right, but the problem with the individual ratings is that you have to compare it to the team ratings too, because the team
ratings was 120. He was
surrounded by good guys. You end up with a good rating. You're surrounded by poor guys, and you slide out, and you don't have a great rating.
No, it's like
but he had some good defenders around him. It wasn't. Yeah, he had a solid center in Capella, defensive center.
Mm-hmm.
There was Hunter, decent.
Yes,
pretty good defender.
Pretty good.
Do we get the second team all defensive guy with him, or do we get something less than that? If we get something less than that, I mean, offensively, I like Reeves and D'Lo better. So,
well, the big problem in this whole situation is that D'Lo wasn't the only guy who choked in that series. Because none of the other guys except for LeBron and AD produced. They all shot terribly from three, including D'Lo. So,
and you know for sure that Murray would be better.
No,
we've never seen him in any kind of high intensity settings.
Well, the problem is that who knows if you don't have Murray? Here's the problem we're faced right now. If you don't have Murray, how are you going to trade D'Lo?
Well, that's another point for maybe down the road a little bit here.
Down the road a little. I mean, the point is that we need a point guard. And one of the priorities that JJ has said is to make sure that we reduce the playmaking load on LeBron.
Well, from my standpoint, we opened with this. The Hawks made the decision to get the guy a trade that maybe even – when the Hawks made
are they going to trade Trey?
When the Hawks made the decision, who's to say that they didn't even want Reeves anymore? He's 26.
I don't know. I don't know. If they trade Trey, they're really going down to a total rebuild. But I don't know if they're going to trade Trey.
Well, Trey's not that old, so I could see them keeping him.
Well, he's also hard to trade, which is why they could end up keeping him too.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know of how hard to trade he is. I mean, I think that, we saw that with Gobert. Nobody thought that Gobert was going to get there's a trade out there. If a team is willing to overpay, for whatever reason,
which apparently the Lakers refuse to do.
Well, when you have, listen, if you're on a deserted island and you only have,
he maybe overpaid for AD. That's about the only time I've seen him overpay for AD.
And we're still feeling the repercussions of that.
Yeah.
We
also won a championship. We also won a championship because of that.
Anyway, I was disappointed. I was not surprised, and I can understand people like wanting to zing Rob on this one for not closing the deal because that is.
He could have closed the deal if he wanted to. I think he didn't want to do it.
I tend to agree with that perception as well. I think that there was a deal in front of the Lakers that they simply chose not to make. They could have made it at the trade deadline.
This is kind of like the deal with Hurley, to be honest, because it's a situation where the Lakers knew they could probably go out there and get the guy they wanted, but there's always some part, because they left so many people in the kitchen make decisions. There's always some part of them that won't go out there and really commit all the way. This is the guy I want. We're going to go get him. It's well. You have to live with that. That's the curse of a Laker fan. You get the team in LA and so forth, and all of these superstars.
But I don't know if
that's used to be a playgirl.
Sure. What? Okay. Wait. We'll just let that one slide. I don't know exactly what you mean here. Playgirls mean something else to both of us. I have a feeling. So anyhow, listen. I like I said, I think that I don't know. Listen, the way this is a new CBA. This is the first year where every iteration of that new CBA is coming into play. That you will be penalized at a pretty steep level for going over the second apron, which makes it imperative that you have draft assets. You have to replace talent, old aged out talent that was expensive, with cheaper young talent. You just have to do it. There's just no way around it. You can't Steve Ballmer your way out of things. You can't, back when we paid Shaq the most money anybody had ever gotten, those days are far gone and done. And
I don't know. The Warriors go out and sign Paul George. You might trade for Paul George. You might totally feel different because they
won't do that. They won't do that without waiving CP3, without letting Klay Thompson walk. And that's the $60 million that was Paul George. They're not going to bring all of those guys back. I guarantee it. I guarantee it.
There's still 3 or 4 teams in this league that don't give a damn about the second tax tier.
Well, the Warriors are no longer. The Warriors are no longer one of them. If you've been reading what he's been saying,
I get the paper every day up here, Michael.
That's not what the ownership's saying.
See it, it's kind of interesting that. I mean, the payoff of all those luxury taxes is seen in the value of the Golden State Warriors as a franchise. I mean, they're number one, ahead of the Lakers, ahead of the Knicks. That's just amazing.
Yeah. No, listen, I hear you. Look, I just think that for a lot of the teams, especially the Lakers, see, Tom, this is what you do with your Playgirl comment. You set off a whole firestorm of chats that are just.
Sorry about that. I really meant Playboy Bunny. I didn't mean.
I know what you meant, but the words came out differently, and so now we have to deal with the repercussions of your actions. That's all right. That's
nice, man.
Yeah, it's this.
If nothing bounces, then you don't have to worry about
it. Listen, Gerald, at least have the decency to comment yourself. Otherwise, everybody's going to think I'm typing this stuff. You're crowding my style, bro. No, I'm just kidding. Do whatever you want. It's your show. All right, next up. So,
where do we go after DeJounte is the real big question.
Well, D'Lo opted in. There's answer number one. D'Lo. So now our guard core at the point is D'Lo and Gabe Vincent still, same as it was supposed to be last season. Didn't really get to see that. Right?
Yeah, but they're committed to trading D'Lo now. So what are they going to trade D'Lo for?
Well, they're not committed to it. They're going to look.
I've heard most of the buzz that I've heard is that they're looking for immediate trade of him. Now they may not be able to trade for him, or they may decide that they won't be as good if they trade him. But the question is, where do you go?
With the way things are these days, who knows if there's if there's going to be a trade out there or not.
I think they're going to keep him.
Joe, you're killing me.
At least till December or January.
Oh God! I'm reading the chats. You can talk amongst yourselves. I'm having a ball over here. No, I mean, listen, I don't know that they're committed to anything. I think that they have a vision that is in line with what Redick wants, right? That if you want 3-point shooters, is there a better 3-point shooter out there than D'Lo for the price?
No,
right? That answers actually.
You want a playmaker? Is there a better playmaker out there for the price?
No, not really. I mean, maybe Tyus Jones.
How come everybody thinks that JJ Redick can solve the problems that Vando had with offense? Can solve the problems that Rui had? Can make Reeves so much better, but he can't do anything with D'Lo?
Oh, I don't agree with anything.
I mean, I think that if you believe in this coach, I'd like to say I think it's worth keeping D'Lo. We can re-sign him to a new deal. But I think I'd love to see what JJ Redick can do and what an offense that's got a lot more threats from outside than just D'Lo could do, And the big problem with trading D'Lo was, man, you just set yourself back so much offensively that it's so hard to get even back up to the same point where you were.
No, listen. So, all right. So this is kind of in line with our discussion. Let's just talk about this real quick. D'Lo opted in. Jackson Hayes opted in. We're still waiting to hear from Cam Reddish.
He'll opt in.
I think he will too, but I still put it at like 50-50. So Kurt Affair put this out there. So if LeBron accepts less, full MLE, that means LeBron is not just accepting less. LeBron is accepting a lot less.
Yes.
Like 25 million less. 2025, I think.
Well,
right?
if he only played 2 years, it would be 32 million according to the calculation.
Just per year. Per year, it's like 15, 20 mil, right?
16 million a year less salary.
That gets us the
taking 33 million instead of 49.
Listen, hey, he wants to win. He wants to win, and maybe this is Joe. Joe said it in the email. Maybe this is all part of the setup. I'm going to move this, Kurt, because nobody can.
You think this is all part of the Bronny deal?
It helps, probably.
I'm not saying
it's part of an environment that created the situation that I think LeBron made that move. I think the Lakers made a gesture in Bronny.
That is the most polite way I have heard this framed yet.
Well, yeah. Hey, well, listen. I mean, the Supreme Court now allows corporations to bribe people, and
let's not get into how they're now the government regulators of planet Earth. So
yes,
let's move on from that quickly.
It's hard to sometimes, though, man.
So here's an interesting thing, though. If Cam Reddish does opt in,
yeah,
that's 15 spots taken. How are we going? What are they going to
consolidation trade coming up?
I think they still can sign somebody, but they're going to have to figure out ways. Yeah. Now they could stretch Lewis, I guess, and it wouldn't hit too hard. But when you're pushing up against that second apron, every little dollar matters.
Right. Yep.
So could they? And the problem with Lewis was I watched him in Summer League. I mean, in G League, and he was underwhelming in G League. I don't know if they can even pay somebody.
I mean, there's a lot of guys that are overwhelming in G League, and they can't even make it onto a regular squad.
So the question is, could they even pay somebody to absorb him? I don't know.
Yeah.
Cam or Max Lewis?
No, Lewis. They'll be a big enough dollar trade if things were. I mean, like there are guys out there that they want. They're probably right now only willing to give up one pick. That's my guess. They're not going to trade Reeves. They're not going to trade Dalton. So basically they got one of the picks that they can use. And there's guys out there, Gary Trent Jr. would be the guy from the Nets. We need a forward. We need a big wing, 6'10", 6'9" wing. If we could get one of those and use the pick and D'Lo's money, that's a problem, though. I think you got to use somebody else's money because I think you got to keep D'Lo because you need a point guard who can shoot the three and get the ball. Yeah. AD.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we're going to probably see one of the 3 to 4 vet minimum guys on the team get cut in camp. If Cam opts in,
they'll try to dump him in a trade.
They'll try, but I mean, what are you going to? I still say so. This is my theory, and it's just a theory. One that this, and we haven't even signed Max Christie, by the way. Max Christie is currently not on our 15-man roster.
Yeah, but we're going to sign him.
They extended. He is technically because they extended him an offer. So
okay, but if you look at the actual roster,
he'd just be an unrestricted free agent. We could get him for the qualifying offer.
Yeah. Okay, but I'm saying that, like, in terms of roster size,
I'm not going to let him walk.
I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about roster size. 2 people got to go if we use the MLE and we keep Christie, right?
Yeah, well, Christie is included in the 15.
Is he?
I'm gonna look. Yeah.
Okay. Then if that's the case, that
I have got the list. I have the list of the people of where the roster is, and I've included Christie, and I've also included D'Lo, and this was before that trade hit. So he's part of the 15.
So really, it's just a question of which of the 3, or maybe all 3, do you waive? Cam is top of my list. Wood second. Hayes last.
Oh,
and you could just waive him, right? It just means you don't get the cap space. It's minimal.
Well, Hayes probably is positionally more valuable than Wood, but I think Wood is a better chance of contributing. They need somebody to protect the rim, and Hayes is that weird position of a.
I don't know. I think Hayes is better than Wood in every avenue of basketball.
That's only because Wood didn't hit threes. That's only because Wood didn't hit threes, and we have a new coach. Sometimes. We have a new direction. We're not going to be a bottom third 3-point attempt team.
But you yourself said you wanted to see somebody who had size that could bang, and that isn't Wood.
Well, that's it. It sure isn't Hayes either. Hayes can't even block.
Well, he has the potential. He has the potential to be that more than Wood does. Wood will never be. Wood will never.
Neither one of those guys are that. I mean,
I'm not disagreeing. So let's say all three. Let's say all three go. Let's say they all opt in, and we go. Thank you for opting in, and we're cutting.
Well, I think that the league. See, I don't.
Because what you're talking,
we didn't get the Jonte. I see all these people saying that we're going to rolling it back. We're not rolling it back, man. There's going to be 2 or 3 major trades made. We're going to trade 3 or 4 of the people, probably 5 people on the team.
No, that's not going to
wait and see.
Oh, God. All right.
LeBron is not taking less money
just
without the team going all in. Those 2 things, less money, all in. That's
we have,
man.
We have enough assets to maybe get one quality guy.
Yeah,
beyond
that's
that,
what I think too.
Yeah.
And then we have assets to trade for one, and then we can get one guy at $13 million in the MLE. That's 2 quality players.
You just said we're going to trade 3 or 4 or 5 guys for 3 quality players.
Because the player that we're going to get, that we're going to trade for, is probably going to make in the mid-20s. It's going to take 2 guys to do that. They'll try to add a 3rd guy which is either JHS or the other draft choice. Yeah.
Oh.
No, I was thinking
Lewis?
of Lewis. Right, Lewis. They'll try to dump one of him. They all want to get rid of JHS. He's on
JHS just had back surgery. Nobody's trading for Jalen Hood-Schifino. Jalen Hood-Schifino is not going anywhere.
It's just he's dumped on him. It's just a question of who's gonna take him. And the other team doesn't. The trade will probably be with a team like Portland or somebody like that who's not a tax worrying team. They don't have the salaries on their bench. They don't worry about cutting a $3 million guy a year.
Yes, they do, because they're
they're over the cap.
They're over the cap. They're coming up on the second apron.
Portland.
Dude, do your research, man.
Portland?
Yes. Go look now, because then this will change your entire. This is what I'm talking about. No, we can't even have this.
Portland. What salary does Portland have that's big left?
Simmons, Grant, Ayton.
They're going to be traded. They're not. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think they're going to sit there and pay taxes on a team that's not going to happen, man? Those people are going to be moved.
They did it last season. It already happened. So this just tells me that you don't read my post very closely, because I already posted about this.
No,
I'm looking at teams. I'm looking at teams that are underperforming and over the first apron. Portland is one of those. The Hawks were one of those, and I'm forgetting the other one. New Jersey was one of those, but New Jersey just solved all of their cap problems for the most plays after this season. So this is what I'm saying. Those are specifically the teams that the Lakers have to engage with. But the problem is the teams that want what those teams want is what we just saw get traded for Murray: expiring money and picks that translate.
Everybody wants expiring money now because
this is the point. We don't have great expiring contracts, and we don't have picks that translate soon. We have pick swaps, and that's not great. It's not nothing, but it's not great. And some second rounders.
I disagree with you entirely on that.
No way. Get out of here. Get out. No way.
You see no value in the post-LeBron unprotected picks, whereas almost every cap expert that is out there treats those as the solid gold coins in the entire trade market.
Except for rebuilding teams that want to build now.
Right, like Portland.
Yeah,
Portland isn't rebuilding in 5 years. They want to be good in 5 years.
Like a young.
You never put any value on any of that stuff, and you look at every trade and you talk about the filler, and they're comparing the filler when the whole purpose of the trade is the draft capital.
That doesn't translate next season.
All you do is think of reasons why nothing is going to happen, Jamie.
All I see are reasons why.
You're the king of the lack of inertia.
That's also not true.
Let's just run it back every year and hope that something will happen.
Guess what? That's what's going to happen, and not because that's what I want, because that is just what's.
It's not going to run it back. This team will be lucky to have.
We'll find out in 2 days.
Half of the team be from last year.
let's move on. Actually, hold on. Michael hasn't gotten much to say about this because we've listened to a lot of how valuable the picks that we somehow still managed to have years after we've been able to trade them have gone nowhere, done nothing, still sit in the Lakers' hands because they're so valuable. They're so very, 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 very valuable. And I totally agree. They're super, super, duper, duper valuable. Everybody wants them. There's no reason to even disagree with that. Michael, do you have any opinions on this topic?
Very Trumpian.
Well, it depends. So to me,
exact same logic, exact same style, exact same effect.
I have the best people.
For me, the thing on those picks are this: their value is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
The Hawks, because of the Murray trade, don't have control of their picks for a long time. So getting some picks right away was going to be very beneficial for their rebuild. Other teams that don't have a lot of picks will probably the kind of team that would be valuable for our picks would be like a rebuilding team like Utah, because they already have a shitload of picks already, so they could wait on those later picks. Teams that don't have a lot of picks coming up, they're rebuilding. If they got a core of 23, 24, 25-year-olds, by the time those picks come along, their guys are going to be pushing 30. And not only that, the NBA GM is not exactly the most secure of jobs.
There are certain GMs that aren't going to trade for anything except the close stuff. I agree.
A lot of these guys are going,
Utah is where we actually would probably get the most value for our picks.
Because they have a lot of other picks.
Danny Ainge would love to get those picks.
Yeah,
because he's already got our 27 pick, and we could turn that into a unprotected pick easily.
So yeah, that's the kind of team that would like our picks.
Yeah, 5 picks for marketing.
But other teams, that are rebuilding, that don't have that reservoir of picks, they're going to want stuff they can use right away. So that's my opinion.
Just depends. It depends. Let's say maybe they want to use it. Maybe it's something they could use right away, and the way to use it is to look for a team like Utah. I mean, it all. Yeah. But you said you said the best thing at the start that really is the truth of this whole thing, that the Pixar value is basically in the eyes of the beholder.
Oh,
right. Depending on what their current needs.
Isn't that a
yeah, like Jamie doesn't value any Laker pick ever or any Laker player that we have to trade because he doesn't want to trade. He doesn't believe
blah,
in trade.
yada 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 blah blah blah.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we all know who we would trade. There's only a few targets that the Lakers are really going to zero in on. I mean, we say all this stuff about everything's super valuable, everything's great, everything's wonderful. We have the best trade assets, the most wonderful players anybody would want on expiring or not expiring deals. The reality is that the contenders aren't going to trade us good players because they're trying to contend. Rebuilders are going to try to maximize the return, like Michael said, in the here and now, and not, in theory, 5 years down the line. I think that Utah is a decent target. I was going to say Sacramento until they kind of re-signed Monk, and I think that they're kind of going to roll it back as is with tweaks on the fringes. Portland and Utah are my two favorite trading partners right now. Maybe Washington, except I don't think bringing Kuzma back makes a ton of sense. And I don't. And then we're going to talk about who you'd like to see if LeBron does take basically $30 million a year, which is what he's going to have to drop down to, which is astounding. If that happens, that's astounding to me. I don't know that he'll go that far. I think he'll just open it up for the 5.
It's probably got to be. It's got to be tied to a specific player that they're thinking would drop down and take that $12.9 million.
You would imagine
why would LeBron do it for? I mean, it says the right players, and you might as well make those in capital.
I'll put them in air quotes and capital letters. The right players, because I think it's a list. I think it's a list of 2. I think it's either DeRozan or Chris Paul. That's my list.
Well, he doesn't have to do it for Chris Paul. Because the only way that they should go after Chris Paul is if it's a minimum contract deal.
That's not happening.
And that's not happening. Well, it could happen, It's like Michael said, the Warriors are determined to get rid of Chris Paul, and if they can't trade him, there is only one other way to get rid of him.
They're going to cut him.
They're going to cut him, and if they cut him, yeah,
I think Chris Paul retires rather than play for the vet minimum.
Yeah,
that's what I honestly and truly believe that.
Somebody will give him some part of. He'll get some part of the MLE from somebody.
That's what I think he plays for the full MLE somewhere at worst.
Another way to look at that full MLE also is if we can open up a couple of spots.
Yeah, get two players.
You can divide it up into a couple of guys that you could look at. Like, for instance, a guy like Najee Marshall. I would love that guy, and he's going to be around. He's going to be around the mid level, maybe a little bit more. So you could give him like 6-7 million, and then bring in a second guy that could be a complimentary player.
Well, I'd use $5 million of it on Prince right now. I think that he would be excellent off of the bench and give you good depth.
Yeah, we don't need to use the MLE on him because we can give him an MLE contract without using MLE because he made 4.5 last.
We've got early bird on him.
Yeah, so
but it doesn't matter. I mean, our money is going to be limited by the tax levels ceilings that we're going to have facing. If we want to use that 12.9, then we're going to have to stay under the 178.9 million and another 190 million.
This is why I'm kind of doubtful that LeBron's going to take so much less that we get to that point. Do you know what I mean?
Theoretically, it's 3 years at 16 million is 48 million. He's probably only going to play 2 years, so that's 32 million.
It's not to get to that price point.
That's a lot of money, man, to give up.
He has to give up more if we're going to get down to the point where we can spend it and still not go over the second apron. To make it available is one thing.
Well, we have to stay. We're talking about staying under the first apron. That's how you get the 12.9 million.
You're right. You're right. No, you're absolutely right. My bad.
So, I mean, and that's the problem is that you have to drop other people's salaries because we just don't have room to do it. Because just the raise that LeBron gets in his new contract, for example, if he was just going to get a 3-year full thing, and the raises that everybody else has got lined in, those raises bump us up almost over the limit there without.
But that's next summer's problem. That's next summer's problem. Rob's going to do it
next summer. The cap will be 10% higher too. So
that's right. Also true.
Every year of LeBron's taking less money is more valuable actually because it's going to be 10% forever.
Yeah, you're right. It's going to get. We'll get the interest the other way, helping that.
It's the interest the other way, which is great. It's great for the Lakers. Yeah. And look, it's not like LeBron needs the money. It's more about the respect. It's more about the respect of being the next player. And I think
Chris Paul was the one, and who was the other player you said?
DeMar DeRozan.
You know what I think on this? I just was thinking about this. I think LeBron's motivation for dropping his salary is to get his son a ring.
I think you're absolutely right. He wants to win a championship. That's the only reason he'll go and give up $16 million a year. He knows it's his last contract, his last chance, his last shot. And if you thought playing basketball with your son was good, then imagine what it would be like popping champagne with him.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
No, my God,
they might get a chance to do that if we win the in-season tournament again.
JV, you're shameless, man.
Yes,
shameless.
If you didn't know that now, well, welcome to the truth. So
any other candidates though? Here's the other thing.
I would consider Gary Trent Jr.
If we trade D'Lo, we got to get a point guard. So who's the backup point guard if we trade D'Lo?
Good point, Alan. Alan says he's too young for alcohol talk. He's just too young to buy alcohol. There's a difference. God. There's a difference. Too young to buy doesn't mean you're too young to drink.
Right.
Depends on the state too. Depends on the state. In Alabama,
do young kids drink as much as we did when we were young?
I don't want to. Let's not get into this type of storytelling. We don't have all day. I remember when I was 16 on the wharfs of San Francisco, I would drink with a hobo, and his name was Billy Bob Joe, and we'd share a can of beans over a fire.
We'd share something different. It wouldn't be a can of beans, but
You'd use the can for something else, right, Tom?
Right.
So listen, my list of expectations is different than my list of who I would like to see the Lakers.
I mean, do you want another point guard? Is there another point guard that we could get?
Jones. That's it.
Jones?
Jones is the only one I would trust. But why do we need another point guard? We don't need it. We don't need another point guard. We got D'Lo. If everything stays as it is, let's not.
But if we don't have D'Lo, we do need another point guard.
They're going to trade everybody, and we're going to get Magic Johnson back. I'm not functioning with that level of logic. I'm functioning with who's on the team today. So if we have D'Lo, we have Vincent. Those are two position level point guards. You also have Reeves, who could run the point. You also have LeBron. In theory, you even have Bronny.
Bronny's getting classified as a point guard prospect.
Bronny's not. Let's just say this right now. Bronny's going to play in the G League. Bronny is going to play in the G League. He's going to be playing in the G League for just about the entire season. And if he doesn't, that means one of two things. We got to steal at 55, or the Lakers are crazy.
I think we got to steal at 55, actually.
That remains to be seen. That definitely remains to be seen. Let's see how he does.
Now, Jamie, I agree with you, except for the first game. They will trot Bronny out.
No, he'll get 5-10 appearances. He'll play in Cleveland. He'll play a couple of times in LA. He'll play, you know what I mean? Like that. No, he's gonna play.
I can see LeBron lobbying for garbage time with Bronny.
Yeah, there's gonna be some teams like, hey, we're playing Portland, or some team like some bottom feeder team, or a decent team with a bunch of good guys out. Put me in with Bronny for like 5 minutes at the end of the half.
It's going to be difficult for there never to be a problem because of it. I mean, that's why I didn't want to see the Lakers do this.
But you know what? Honestly, there's that. But like I talked about this ad nauseum last night, so I don't want to like flay the Bronny James issue to death anymore. To be honest, the way we make it go away is to stop talking about it as if it's like the most important thing on planet Earth, because it's not. And so
the way to make it go away is for Bronny to immediately play extremely well every time he gets a chance on the court.
Well, that's just unrealistic. Nobody.
Not necessarily.
Yes, it is. Please.
No.
Okay.
He'll be. I think he's going to be a very steady kid. You watch and see.
We'll see. So my point.
He knows how to handle. He knows how to handle pressure because of being in a situation like none of us can even imagine.
And that's exactly what I said last night. I said last night two things that are kind of being repeated. One is that wherever he played, if he played in Charlotte, oh, you're LeBron James's kid. LeBron James this, LeBron James that, LeBron James this, LeBron James that. I'm my own man. I'm going to make my own legacy. Blah,
Not
blah,
only
blah.
that, you have the same damn name. Yeah,
so it's just that is what he's going to deal with until LeBron retires.
Yeah. And he got that name because LeBron never had a father, and he wanted to make sure he lived up to being the senior.
I'm not going to interject myself into the family politics of the LeBron James family. It's not my business, and I frankly don't care. I just don't care.
It is your business because it's the Lakers.
But that part of it is not.
And it affects that part of it.
No, I disagree with that completely.
It will probably affect who we play.
No, that's part of it is the LeBron James family. They can do what they want. They can name their kids however they want. I don't care. They can name all of their kids after wizards from Lord of the Rings, and I don't care.
Okay, so who are we going to trade for then?
I would, if it wasn't Chris Paul or DeRozan, I wouldn't. Well, we're not going to trade for anybody. I'm talking about using the MLA should it materialize.
You think that's the only thing we're going to do? We're going to trade somebody. We have to trade. We got to get rid of a bunch of these guys. We got to trade at least a 3-for-1.
No, we're not going to do that. And at best, we'll trade Rui. Rui and like one other guy for like an $18-20 million player.
Okay, and who is that $18 to $20 million player?
I'm not even talking about. I'm talking about my other candidates for the MLE. But you have this. I don't know if you've noticed this, Tom, but you have this.
The Lakers are focusing on trying to trade right now. And Jamie, you're sitting there saying, I won't even talk about who we're going to trade for because we're not going to trade.
Because that's not what we started talking about 5 minutes ago. Well, you're not okay. You want me to know? Okay, let's change the topic. Would you like to go back to trades?
Yes. Why don't we talk about possible players that the Lakers?
I don't know if you recall, but we were talking about.
That's what everybody on the internet is saying the Lakers are doing.
Because we were talking about who we would target outside of Chris Paul and DeRozan for the MLE, but we could change topics if you would like.
Well, I didn't
Can I
hear
jump in with the comment on trades?
Quick. Yeah. Please, Michael. While there's space.
This is the way I'm looking at trades. there could be a lot of candidates out there, right? But when you look at what these trades so far are going for, I mean, like Washington traded what's his name, that forward, Ajia, that up and coming forward,
Adija.
Yeah, Ajija, 2 first-rounders for him.
But he was really good. He's really good.
I know he is, but that's what I'm talking about.
Right.
There is the competition is going to be fierce for any quality player that comes on the trade market. I mean,
I thought he almost got more. They almost got more than they did for John
in Utah. Marketed in Utah, for instance, they want to keep him, but they're being bombarded by offers. Look at who could use marketed the most if he did become a trade. The Thunder. They have 10 million picks, right?
Well, they're saving up. They're going to offer 20. They're going to offer 20 picks for Cooper Flagg next year.
But here's the deal. We are sitting on a couple of distant first-round picks and some players that are decent players, but they're not expiring. A good player comes on the market, it's going to be hard can we win these trades? Not so much who we're going to trade for, but if it's a quality player, there are a lot of teams out there that can beat us. So
the problem is you have to go all in to win those trades. We don't. I'm trying to keep
my expectations not that high, because I look at teams with the assets they have, and I look at what we have, and if it's a really, really, really good player, there's going to be a bidding war for them, and I don't know how many bidding wars we can actually win.
I don't know why you're trying to interject logic.
And you overpay for them. That's how
they're not going to overpay.
That's how you end the player.
But see, I think that your philosophy, Tom, your personal philosophy differs vastly from the Lakers' personal philosophy.
No, I agree with you. No, Jamie, I agree with you on that.
I understand that you would do all these things, and that's how I always take it. I'm like, hey, of course, Tom would.
That's how I've done everything in my life when it comes to something. If you really want it, then you go for it. If I wanted to hire an employee, I made sure I gave him an offer that made sure that he took the job.
Sure, that's
fantastic. That's how you figure out what are the important pieces to your business or your life or your relationships with people, your organization that you're dealing with, and then you make sure you win. The whole idea is not to win the transaction; is to end up with the players that you want. And if you have to, and part of doing that is overpaying, because it is competitive. You have to have a reason for that guy to want to go to you versus the other people, and sometimes you aren't the best team. Sometimes you don't have the best situation for them.
But there's competition is in a better position to overpay than we are.
Sometimes you lose. But the problem is we never do that, because Gerald's right. The Lakers as an organization do not operate on that way. That's why they didn't give Dan Hurley a Godfather offer.
Yep.
It's why they lost Dan Hurley. It's why
not necessarily. Hurley's wife cried for a week.
Pardon?
Hurley's wife was crying for a week.
Yeah, also true.
And so I don't even know.
But if they came in and offered him $100 million, I'll bet you he would have taken the offer.
He would have got a big divorce settlement.
Well, also there's also
he might have even thought about that for $100 million.
No, and we're talking about a guy who has the potential to leave a collegiate legacy behind.
I understand that fully. But
there's a lot of reasons that he didn't take the offer.
But still, you said it yourself. What you said, that the Lakers do not believe in going all in like that. They did it. Anthony Davis is the only time.
I know I'm right. Nobody's got to tell me. I'm perfect. Yeah. I know I'm not.
And that's the main reason why I differ. That's why you're absolutely right, because I basically think that it's, like who you get to be your coach and who you get to be your key superstars or your key rotation players, your starters. That's the whole game there, man. That's like 90% of the game.
Well, but I think this is the thing, right? This is why you and I differ so much in the trade market discussions, because I never do the thing I want to see happen, because I'm not in charge. So it doesn't matter what I want. What I wish and what I want is inconsequential in these debates because we have to deal with what is real. And the reality is that the Lakers operate differently than you do, whether you like it or not. And I know you don't. That's just the reality.
Sometimes things break through, like they hire the right coach, JJ Redick. Sometimes it happens. They make the right trade, Anthony Davis. They draft the right player, Austin Reeves.
Well, they didn't draft him. He was undrafted. So
they chose him, so to speak, and he chose them.
He chose them, just like LeBron.
They recruited LeBron.
They did recruit LeBron. LeBron chose LA. Let's how it is. This is my point. I'm not gonna go back and forth like we're trading 5 guys for Giannis. Like it's not happening.
I don't know. I just don't understand. You're just such a strange fan, Jamie. To be honest,
because I'm real.
No, because I think most fans will basically want the team to do what they think it needs to do to win. And
well, I want them to do that too, but I'm not unrealistic about it. Like I'm not. This is and what I mean by this. What I mean by that is exactly this.
We got JJ Redick. I think that's the greatest move that we've made in the last 5 years.
And you said the exact same thing about Darvin Ham.
I support Darvin Ham, and I'm glad that he's our coach, and I gave him all the best wishes, and I rooted for him.
That's where I'm at with JJ Redick.
Until I lost my faith in him.
I am not sold on JJ Redick because I've seen him do absolutely nothing. So I can't have an opinion. I won't have an opinion. You're saying like a guy who's like this. That was a nice backdoor cut by Nurkic there on that play. Is a brilliant coach. That doesn't translate to me. It just doesn't translate to me on any level. I watched a lot of the Mind, not every single one, but most of the Mind the Game podcasts. You're talking about a production. It's not like he was in the moment making these calls, making these observations, making these reads, making these reactions. He had time to go back, watch the video, write down some notes, talk about things, break it down. At best, he's a great film coordinator, right? Like, let's be honest. If we're going to talk about JJ Redick for a minute, let's be honest. He's more qualified to be a top-tier video coordinator for a team than a head coach. He's a head coach now, so we have to deal with it. But that's where we're at. So
it's a tough life without hope, man.
I got plenty of hope. It's just not for other people. It's just for myself. I'm chilling, man. I'm good. I function within this. This is what I function within. It doesn't go outside of this too very often, except for my wife.
So we're going to run it back, according to Jamie.
We're going to run it back with some tweaks. Yeah.
All right. We might. I mean,
yeah.
That's what I try to stay realistic on things as far as what our assets will get us, as opposed to what other teams can offer. And
I don't think we have the ponies.
I try to stay in that because, I'm looking around. I'm looking at, first of all, this is a terrible year for the Lakers from that standpoint of trades because there isn't a lot of names out there. They're precious few right now. I mean, you never know what's going to happen behind the scenes. But, man, there isn't a whole lot of names out there, and which also always will lead to more competition. Unless some more names get freed up, who can we trade for? Because there's only a handful of people that's even rumored to be on the trade market.
Yeah, that's my opinion as well. And I'll tell you this, my list is Markkanen and Grant. That's it. I don't see anybody else realistic that we could get other than Markkanen. And if I'm being totally realistic, I don't think your Godfather offer, Tom, is enough. I really think it's going to come up short to any one of 3 other teams that could match that. And furthermore,
I think that Markkanen is probably, if there's a player out there who would get the best bid that any team could make right now, I would have to say it's Lauri Markkanen, in my opinion.
I think that if they wanted him, Houston could beat our offer.
Houston could beat our offer.
New Orleans could beat our offer. And Atlanta now could beat our offer.
There are probably a half a dozen teams that could beat our offer. But here's the other side of the story, though. You just it's like Michael says, you don't know what the value is that they're perceiving it. Danny Ainge is the kind of guy who would love to have 5 straight years of the Lakers' first round draft picks.
I don't think he cares who they come from.
Oh, I don't think
he cares.
No, that's what you don't understand, because this is a chance.
I actually think
this is a highly probability that you'll get a top 5 pick. The last time the Lakers bottomed out, there were 2 top 2 picks that they got.
That's lottery based and not guaranteed. Also,
no, it's based upon the fact that it's just, what do you believe in the Lakers? Do you believe the Lakers are going to go under when LeBron leaves?
No.
And that's what's going to happen, that they're going to turn into the bottom third of the league?
No.
The last in the
league?
No,
I don't either.
No.
We're a destination. The Lakers are a free agent destination.
Yeah, a lot of people think the other side is going to happen.
That's why for every cap experts guy that you tell me who thinks these picks are valuable 5 years out, I'm like, we're still going to be good in 5 years. I don't believe. So then the picks, means the picks aren't valuable.
To get there, since we won't trade anybody and we can't draft anybody, and
we'll sign people.
Replace our general manager, and we need to replace our owner.
Like this guy just said, we're a destination. It's not about. It'll be about cap space. We'll have a ton of cap space. AD's coming off the books in 3 years. Mm-hmm. D'Lo, everybody will be coming off the books in 3 years. Everything matches up.
You trust Rob to go out there and make those right decisions, Rob and G.
I hope that Rob isn't the GM by then. I hope by then we've hired Bob Myers.
Well, then you're hoping that JJ fails. Then obviously.
I think I'm not hoping that. I think he will.
Motivations in proper order,
There are. So,
that's difficult,
I think JJ is out of his element and is going to have a very tough first year. I think that as a result of that.
So you don't think we're going to win a LeBron championship for Bronny next year? Then I guess.
I don't think we're going to win the championship next year. I mean, I would like.
Where are you predicting us to? Do you think we'll make the play-in tournament?
Yeah, I think that's about where we land.
Oh, you think
we're high 6 through 8?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we could crack that top 6 if something bad happens. But are we better than Dallas? I don't think we're better than Dallas. Are we better than the Clippers? Maybe
we could be better than Dallas.
We could be better than the
Clippers. It depends what the front office does.
I mean, that's
true. I think honestly, if we run it back, I could easily see us 4 through 7, 4 through 8.
I mean, if we have great health, and
I would agree with that, Michael. I think that we could be a 4th seed running it back with just what we have right now,
with great health,
with an MLE guy added
with great health, right?
But I think if we made a couple of trades and we got another really backup center that could really protect the rim, then I think we could be a top 4 team in the West.
I mean, what do you want to see the Lakers trade for Mitchell Robinson? I mean, that's basically who's.
I might want to see him. I might want to see him trade for Robert Williams.
Robert Williams is not a big center. He's 6'9".
I know, but
he's 6'9", 237. He's not banging with anybody. What are you talking about?
But he's going to give us he's going to give us an experienced defensive.
I would take Hayes over Robert Williams all the time.
Hayes can't even block a shot when a guy comes straight at him. He has no reflexes for that.
Anyway, all right. So,
Williams can't block any shots either because he's always on the disabled list.
I don't know.
Well, that is a problem. That's the only reason that you'd be able to get a guy like that.
And that's the only reason Robinson's going to be available. So this is what I'm talking about. You're talking about a risk, right? If
Mitchell Robinson's won't be available. After they made that trade, they're not going to be able to keep Hartenstein.
No, that's why I think they'll move. I think they'll move. No, I think they'll try to move Robinson into somebody for something that they can free up cap space to sign Hartenstein. And actually, they can resign Hartenstein. They just have to do it within the rules of the cap, which means he won't get the biggest raise possible. Just like Malik Monk didn't sign for the most money he could have gotten if he had tested free agency, instead chose to stay with Sacramento, take a little bit less money than he probably might have. I mean, who knows?
It's almost like a giant collusion by all of the general managers in the league to say, hey, listen, all you players, because of the new CBA, you're all going to have to take a little less.
Well, I don't know about that. I think it's more that they are just hamstrung by what they can actually realistically offer that makes sense for them to construct a team that they can field.
It's also just new territory. Everybody's looking at these new rules, and nobody wants to get sidestrapped by the thing and find out all of a sudden that they scoop something up. And
Do you remember how hard it was for us to function when we were hard capped that 1 year?
Yeah.
That was, nobody enjoyed that.
We're now going to be hard capped one way or another.
I agree.
Every year from now on.
That's right. Everybody. So yeah,
the new hard caps are the two. There's actually 4 or 5 teams that don't have any hard cap.
So this is the thing. This is what I think will happen with Hartenstein, is that they'll sign him for 2 years at $18 million a year, maybe with a player option in the second year, and he's going to stay in Nick. They're going to try to move Robinson and take back less money. I don't think they can just trade him into somebody's cap space. I'm not sure that that's realistic, but
they can do that.
That's my thought with the Knicks.
But they'll have to give up some picks to do that.
They have the picks to give up.
Yeah.
They just got picks back on draft day that they had given out in the Bridges trade. They're set up. They set themselves up very well to move Robinson into somebody's cap space for a couple of not great first rounders, but whatever. That's a great move. That could be San Antonio. That could be Orlando. Orlando needs to get, well, they don't really need to get bigger. They need 3-point shooters. They've got enough big guys. Maybe Orlando isn't realistic. Point being, they could trade him for Capella, who's
I want Orlando to get Hartenstein so that they will not guarantee Isaac, and the Lakers can go after Isaac.
That's not going to happen. Hartenstein's staying in Nick. Tibbs likes him too much. Knicks like him too much. They're going to make it work. They will pay.
He didn't go to Villanova. Come on, man. He didn't go to Villanova. He's not represented by CAA. Come on.
That's a good one. All right. Let's
what Nova Center is still out there? What Nova Center is still out there, man?
Villanova Center? I don't know that Villanova is a great place for centers. That's more Gonzaga and Kentucky. Kentucky is a great big man college. Gonzaga is a decent big man college. They always get picks that are decent, and I always think finally of Rony Turioff, even though he kind of underwhelmed. Anyhow, listen. So we got what do we got? 36? No, we got 50-ish hours till free agency, something like that. I can't do math. We got it. We're 2 days out.
Free agency starts tomorrow.
Is it tomorrow at midnight?
Tomorrow at 6 a.m.
Eastern time.
Pacific, I think.
Oh, okay. Look at that. So here we are.
Up to some news.
Tom's favorite part of the year, the first day of free agency. A lot of
I hate that. Gerald and I have done these free agency things. I'm not going to do one this year.
Oh, man.
Every year I do it, nothing happens.
Those are some of my favorite episodes. Those are some of my favorite episodes to watch of Lakers Fast Break, where you're like, here we go, big trade happening, and the New York Knicks have. Oh, it's not the Lakers.
That's like horrible.
Oh, it's not the Lakers. It happens.
At least I have to admit, what was your guys' reaction when we got Dalton Connect? I mean, that was.
I was thrilled. I was
thrilled too.
But that shows you
waiting for him to just say the right words and not do the same thing we did last year.
That shows you how low the bar is for Rob Pelinka. He just did the right thing. And we were all like,
the parallels are uncanny, man.
Yeah, you didn't blow it, buddy. Like, we all got excited because he didn't blow it. Like, that's how low the bar is for Rob Pelinka. It's a little bit embarrassing.
It's not your decision on that single draft. It's how you've been as a general manager the last 4 years.
Oh, he's terrible.
And how you'll be the next 4 years.
Well, you won't be here 4 years. I guarantee it. You want me to predict something? I predict Rob Pelinka will not be here in 4 years. Whether or not that means Redick is gone, I'm not sure. But I don't think he'll be. I think they'll give Redick more leash. I hope that they give Redick more leash and just more room to be the coach.
Redick will be a coach for the next 10 years. God. Now, listen, if that was true, if that turns out to be true, the Lakers, I tell you, will have won several championships.
Yes, but that would be astounding to me based on how
he's not going to be the coach here for 10 years if he doesn't win a championship.
Everybody in the chat can just stop LeBron leaving. He's not leaving. He's retiring.
Leaving. Oh, come on, guys.
He's not going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere.
It's just a matter of the figure he signs for.
Feel free to put on your tinfoil hat and be like, I see a conspiracy here. But it's just not happening. Like, he's not going anywhere. And feel free to think that he will. I'm not here to tell you what to think, but I'm guaranteeing you he's retiring a Los Angeles Laker.
If you think that, you're stupid.
Yeah, well, let's not go casting stones. These are people who are, in theory, are fans. Let's treat them with a modicum.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If you think that, it's a stupid decision.
that might be slightly more polite. I'm not really too sure. Okay, let's just move on. No, let's just move on. Let's not continue.
If you think that
you don't pay attention. How about that? There you go. That's better. I can live with that. Anyhow, so tomorrow morning you wake up. I think we're all in agreement, but I just want to hear you all say it. Who's the best guy you see that we traded for?
Well, the best guy would be Lauri Markkanen, of course.
I agree. For me, it's between him and Olynyk.
My second one is Kelly Olynyk. Go ahead.
I might put for me. I actually might put Olynyk higher because I like his playmaking out of the post.
Yeah,
and he's not the 3-point shooter that Markkanen is, but I think he's more durable. I think he fits in better with LeBron and AD because it pushes AD out more, which is what AD wants. And I think that LeBron and Olynyk and all that works well. It keeps Olynyk in the post where he's great ball mover, great rebounder. He's not the scorer that Markkanen is, and I'm all right with that because as we broke down,
he's like a bigger version of Austin Reeves in a lot of ways.
Yeah, he's like a Pau Gasol light is how I look at him. And I think that's another thing. Somebody who is Kurt. This is a great point. And Olynyk is happy being back home, and I think the Raptors are happy to have him. I think you're going to have to overpay to get Olynyk, but we're just saying what we would like to see. Where I'm engaging in one of Laker Tom's exercises in futility, where I imagine I'm in charge of things and my opinion matters. At least
I like this guy. Who's this guy? Who's this guy right there? What's that guy down there, man?
I don't know his name.
Who's that new guy down there?
He doesn't really exist. He's just a figment of your imagination. So I would be happy with either Markkanen.
We must be watching Dark Matter. We're in another.
I haven't watched that yet. I have watched a lot of Marvel, so yeah, I know what you mean by the multiverse.
Dark Matter was my favorite science fiction book.
Oh, okay. What about you, Michael? We wake up tomorrow morning. Who do we got?
Oh, I don't know. As far as the trade goes, it really depends. If we're going to trade D'Lo, it has to be for a guard. Blasphemy. If we're going to trade Rui, it has to be for a forward. So it depends on who you're trading. Probably the best guy that we would have any kind of chance of getting it all would be Markkanen. Simply because, like I said before, Utah is stocked with first-round picks, and they could wait on ours.
And we can convert.
So I got to go with Markkanen.
Okay, I have one last scenario. So this just occurred to me, and it's a player that nobody's talking about. What is Tobias Harris's market this summer?
What's he make?
It could be an MLE.
Could be the MLE, right? Yeah. Would you take Tobias Harris for the full MLE if it becomes available to us? Over DeRozan, over Chris Paul,
I'd take him over Chris Paul and DeRozan for sure.
Yeah, I think I might too.
Yeah. So positionally, he gives you size and 3-point shooting.
Yeah, I think I would.
Plus, too. I think Chris Paul could be had for less. Honestly.
Yeah.
I really do.
I mean, maybe it's just me. I have a hard time seeing Chris Paul, who was the president of the league, who put into place all of these things and enable older players to make more money, who has done nothing but sign Mike's contracts at every turning point.
If LeBron takes less, maybe Chris Paul will take the minimum just to play with LeBron and Bronny. Isn't he Bronny's godfather?
You know what? That opens the door for. Let's get Melo back and bring on the banana boat, baby. Banana boat is back.
That's right.
Bring back the banana boat.
All we have to do is find the Villanova center, and we can
there's no
do a
such
couple
thing.
of nepotistic games.
Somebody tell us in the chat if there's a good Villanova center out there. But that guy's going to the Knicks anyway. It doesn't matter. We can't have anybody on Villanova on our team. We can only have clutch clients, and there's no good centers on clutch that we are.
Now who's there's a couple of guys who recently signed with Clutch.
They did. I don't know who they are. I don't pay attention to clutch. I could give a rat's ass. Anyway, all right.
There actually is one of them. One of them is actually a good possible candidate. I can't remember that.
The other thing people should start moving away from is saying the Lakers should reunite with Thomas Bryant. Thomas
Bryant? No.
It's that ship has sailed. His knees are gone. I love his motor, but he just doesn't have the hardware is faulty. And I like the guy a lot. I think he could have had a better career than he did had he not had knee injuries. And you can say that by a plethora of players in the NBA. And it's unfortunate, but that's just, people are saying Goga Bizdale, 6'11", 250, 24. Yeah, that's an interesting target. It's hard for me to see the Lakers getting another center without trading Wood and Hayes, without seeing Wood and Hayes included in a deal. It's hard for me to see us going into the season with 5 centers. 5 centers is almost 50% of the roster that's going to play.
Wood, to be fair, Jamie, Wood is a power forward. He played 2 years as center, as a small ball center when Houston went tiny.
Right.
He was a power forward before and a power forward after.
I'll take that.
He can't protect the rim at all. He's not a rim protector.
I mean, he doesn't.
He's not bad defending on the perimeter. But if he gets his shot back, he can be a valuable player. He just lost his shot last year. Totally.
Yeah, he rebounds and he can shoot. The reason why he wasn't a really good fit at center was he weighs 210 pounds.
Right.
At 6'10", he can't hold his ground. So that's why he's been.
I just don't think he's mentally. I don't think he's mentally engaged on the defensive end. I think that's when he takes the possessions off. He's like, "Sweet, I hit a 3 about a half hour ago. This is a great game. I'm having a great game."
Every one-way player on the Lakers is a trade asset.
I think
to be fair with Wood, I thought his defense was better than advertised.
Yeah,
last year. I mean, he wasn't. He's not a great defender, but I thought he was better. He was better than I was expecting.
I mean, if he just uses his length and moves his feet, that's fine. That's all Pau Gasol ever did, right? Pau Gasol wasn't leaping out of his shoes to block shots or anything like that. You don't have to be an excellent leaper or an excellent athlete to be a good defender. You do have to play within the system set in front of you, and you do have to contest, and you do have to close out.
Eric Jones Jr. signed with Clutch, and Phil Handy signed with Clutch.
Phil Handy, the coach?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe he's going to be like an advisor. Maybe he's going to have. Maybe he's going to run.
Derek Jones Jr. would be interesting.
Derek Jones Jr. would be interesting. I don't know that I mean, for the MLE, would he come here for the MLE? Full MLE?
Well, yeah, he only made like $2 or $3 million.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, you give him part of the MLE.
But the problem with that is
he couldn't re-sign for as much with the Mavs.
That's the thing.
He was a one,
and he's a key player on the Mavs.
He can't sign with the Mavs for the MLE.
Yeah, no, they have to offer him they have to do the qualifying offer thing for the first year or two. And he has an established role on the Mavs. If you're going to give anybody a discount, it's definitely going to be the Mavs.
Yeah, but he just changed agents.
I mean, whatever.
The big reason why players change agents is who that agent has a good relationship for.
All right, I know we're trying.
You want to go to the Knicks, you know where to sign. You want to go to the Lakers, you know who to sign with.
Well, in theory, I mean that's true to a point. I think.
I think Derek Jones Jr. for me would be like one of those split the MLE guys.
Yeah.
I don't think he would be a full MLE guy.
No.
But this is my problem with splitting the MLE is that you've just quantifiably reduced the impact of the player you can sign, right? You've split something in half, which means you're getting 2 players that are only.
Yeah, but we got several holes to fill. That's the problem.
I know, but would you rather spend 1 MLE this season and fill a hole well? Or would you rather
who are the 2 players and who's the 1 player?
Yeah, for me,
Laker Tom and I are starting to run a dating app. So.
I can see several split players, but I can't really see. There's not a full MLE guy out there that's really exciting to me.
I mean, there's not a split MLE guy that's really exciting because we get into one-way territory.
There's a couple of guys that I like. Like I mentioned Najee Marshall earlier.
Yeah. Or Bizdale. I like Bizdale as an option. I think he would not take the full. I don't think you could get him. I think you could get him from less than the full MLE and split it up between him and another guy. All right. So somebody brought this up, and Tom, you brought it up a while ago. What is JJ Redick going to? This is what we're going to end on. So let's keep it on this topic if we can at all possible. But I know that's nigh impossible, so we'll just do our best.
Everything is possible.
No, don't quote Kevin Garnett, please. It's not deserving. It's just not deserving. All right. What is JJ Redick going to do with Jared Vanderbilt? At the end of last season, Jared Vanderbilt was on the injured list, but when he did play, he shot better and was more aggressive from 3-point land than he had ever been in his career. seemed like he was comfortable taking that corner three, like in a PJ Tucker-like role where you stash him on the corner and he crashes the glass when the shot goes up. If it's not him taking the corner three, I like that role for Vanderbilt, and there's no denying his impact on defense. Some people, I think, undervalue the effect that he had on the Laker defense 2 seasons ago, and when we were all but out of the playoffs and everybody was about to get fired, and then they went on that amazing run and went all the way to the Western Conference. Thank you for subscribing, Michael. Somebody else subscribed today earlier too, and I forgot to mention it. I'm sure Joe would like it if I mentioned it, so I apologize. I think it was Gina R or R Gina, something like that. So thank you to all our new subscribers, and if you haven't liked and subscribed, if you enjoy listening to us argue nonstop about Laker minutia, please feel free to do so. And on top of that, come by Lakerholics.com, and you can do so in type form endlessly to your heart's content. We're all on and off. We're there on and off all the time. So I have been from minute one a huge Jared Vanderbilt fan. I was happy to see them extend him the way that they did so that he could be comfortable in his role and not worry about being traded last year. And it was very disappointing to me that he was not really available for the majority of the year, including the playoffs. I thought that was one of the big things that held us back from having a better record. And it's one of the reasons why I say if we are fully healthy, I think Michael's right. We do have a shot at the 4-5 being an actual playoff team. Wherever it falls in the playoff realm, I think that Vando is one of those guys that can help us get there because specifically of his defense. And I'm not so much worried about his offense. It's the defensive side of the ball where I feel like we still need more help. I think with LeBron, AD, Reeves, D'Lo, you've got a lot of scorers. You've got guys who can put the ball in the hole. It's stopping the other team enough to win the game. That is, in my opinion, and I'm sure people have different opinions, and that's fine. But in my opinion, that's what held us back last season, is that we did not have a playoff or NBA Finals level, not even close, level of defense. And so I think to that we need to hope that Vando is healthy. And if we trade anybody like Vincent and Vando or Rui and Vando, it cannot just be for offense, because then I think we're just going to fail. We're going to be a bad team. We might be exciting to watch. We might score a lot of points, and that's great. But I don't think we'll win as many games as we could if we had a better defense. So I think that J.J. Redick is biggest challenge, other than getting D'Angelo Russell, should he still be on the team come playoff time, to perform at a high level, is to incorporate Jared Vanderbilt in a way that makes sense. What do you guys think? And I'm going to start with you, Michael, and then Tom, I'm going to let you finish the show.
Well, okay. I agree with you on Vando. Honestly, and this is my opinion, because those Nugget games were so close and so hard fought, I think a healthy Vando would have been enough to get us past the Nuggets. I really do, because I mean there was 2 games they won on last point shots, where if you had a healthy Vando, he would have been on Murray in those situations.
Yep.
Yeah, and so I really do think that we would have beat them. I just think we would have. Yeah. Because it was only, I mean, defensively, we held up pretty good against them. They didn't, I mean, they scored 8? They scored under 110 3 times, had 112 and 114. So defense, just a little bit more, and I think we would have passed them. And I think you're absolutely right. Now, the thing about Vando that was encouraging for me, and I think even Tom mentioned this too, was once he got healthy and he got his rhythm, he was not looking like a negative on offense, and he looked like a neutral to a slight plus on offense. You know, he was hitting a few of the threes. He was actually, instead of passing out, he was actually taking the ball to the cup. He was starting to look like, hey, he had worked on his offense over the summer, and he was starting to look like that. And then he got hurt again.
Yeah.
So I agree with you, Jamie. I think that he is somebody that we need to learn how to use. And you're talking about trades, and the way I look at trades, you always have to look at what you're losing in a trade as well as what you're gaining.
I agree.
And you got to have that to make a good trade. That has to have a balance to it. So,
or you have to have a vision, like Tom was saying. I think Tom had a great point earlier on, where like the way he runs things is like, I see what I want, and I know why I want it, and so I go out and get it, and damn the torpedoes, whatever the cost. So not maybe whatever the cost, but I will do the best I can to make an offer that you can't refuse, which is what I think we all agree the Lakers are kind of awful at this point in their franchise history. A lot of people have, if this is great, I'm glad we're ending with this because a lot of people have very diverse opinions on Vando. Alan, I think you're a little bit wrong. Sean, I tend to agree with you, but I understand, Alan, your point that people tended to sag off of Vando. I thought that he was taking advantage of that when he played last season. And if you go back and watch the 5-game stretch before he got hurt against Boston, and that's the player I'm excited to see. I'm not talking about the season before where he couldn't, like, he would drive to the rim and he'd get close to the basket and you'd see him be like, I don't know what to do.
Pass the ball.
He'd pass the ball or kind of throw it up poorly or do like a weird, THT shot where, like, because THT can't jump and all he has is long arms. And I don't understand why we chose him over Caruso still. And I'll never understand why we chose him over Caruso. And I'm going to be mad about it for the rest of my life. Every day I think about how bad a choice that was. Do you realize that? Every single day at one point throughout the day, I think that this was the worst decision.
This is why he doesn't believe anything good is going to happen.
Every day, once a day.
You immerse yourself in misery every day by thinking those things. Come on, Jamie. We got to get an intervention for you, man.
Nah,
we're going to have to just go down to West LA and drag you out of there and
you won't. You'll
a happy place.
Nah, I got a banjo. I'm good. I'm solid. Anyway, that's the player I was excited to see. Tom, I know that because he's making, what's he making? 11.8 this season, something like that. His new deal kicks in. Oh, maybe it ends at 11.8. I know it's like between 10 and 12.
Right.
His new deal kicks in this season. He's now tradable, right? You can package him with Vincent. You can package him with Rui. You can package all three, get close to 30 mil. You could include Reeves. I feel like Reeves is untouchable for anybody, but like for some reason, KD or Steph or somebody of that like caliber of player, which is just unrealistic. And so, well, I mean,
I'm trading Rui and I'm trading Gabe way before I even think of trading Vando.
Interesting. I like hearing that. Thank you for saying that because.
And it's for the same reasons. It's for the same reasons as well as other reasons. Same
I like Randall too.
But there's other reasons too. I think first off that it's like trading D'Lo. How do you improve the offense when you trade D'Lo? It's very, very difficult. It means that you have to have an exceptional situation
for that money.
If you want to improve the defense while trading Vando, you run into the exact same dilemma that how are you going to, it's ridiculous. Reddick made a great statement. He was talking about how you use non-shooters on the perimeter in dribble handoffs and screening and so forth to get value from them. And the problem with Vando, if he gets traded, is going to be just not trusting that he can stay healthy, because that's the only thing that's really held us back. He was developing well. He's hitting his shots. He was playing well. He had gotten over a period of time where he was almost like afraid to shoot when he got in the paint. It was horrible. It was just, it was like a guy who just totally lost his confidence. But I think that the Lakers, if there's guys that I'm really interested in seeing what JJ Redick can do is a 3-point shooter like Vando, like D'Lo, and a defender who has the ability to shoot a corner three like Vando, and also too, he's going to, in addition to using those guys as screeners and dribble handoffs, he's going to let them loose running from the corners to attack the offensive glass. And I think that's a critical area where Vando is great. That's the type of thing, seeing him come in and do the type of things that we see other teams do to us, instead of just putting everybody back and giving up on the offensive glass. When you're a team that thrives in the paint and thrives with points in the paint and made free throws, I think attacking the glass is almost more important than stopping transition. Because if you do it well, you will stop transition by the simple fact that they have to put their 5 guys covering the glass. They can't let guys leak out because they're going to get killed. So I think Vando has a better role exists in this scheme that I think JJ is going to come up with for Vando than it does for Rui, or than it does for Gabe. Gabe partly because we haven't seen anything from him, and it's hard, and we need some tradable capital. We need some salaries to trade. Rui, it's the same situation. Despite his potential and the ways we see him used on offense, he still isn't a natural defender. And
he's kind of slow.
You need that for that third slot. The one thing you're going to see for sure, I am 100% certain, is the three guys who are going to start next to LeBron and AD. All three are going to be volume 3-point shooters. They're all 5 to 10 threes a game.
Don't say something like that, because you're going to have to walk it back at some point.
Yeah, well, I'll just say it. I'll guarantee it to you right now, Jamie.
All right,
you haven't been listening to JJ Redick or looking at the table.
Yes, I have. I have been. Yes, I have. And you're telling me that Anthony Davis is going to shoot 5 threes a game?
That's not what I said. I said the three players that you're going to surround Davis and LeBron with are going to be volume 3-point shooters, the starters.
I think 2 of them for sure. I think Reeves and D'Lo, Reeves and D'Lo will shoot 5 to 10 3-pointers a game. After that, I think there's going to be a big drop off, and I'll tell you why. And then we're gonna we'll let you both close with a tidbit if you want, or we can just end it. So, yeah, I'm cool with whatever. Somebody's calling me Gerald. That's cute. I am not Gerald Glassford. I'm Captain Sweet. Obviously, it says so below my name. Also, you can call me Jamie. Also, you can call me Jamie Sweet. I'm not somebody who hides behind. I like how a lot of the people on the chat have what I assume is their real name. I hate it when I see, Sassy Frass 221. Like, who are you, Sassy Frass 221? Get out of here with that crap. Anywho, I'll tell you this.
Subscriber, huh?
Thank you. Oso Compton, thanks you for subscribing. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. All right, so this is my last point. Shauna, this is what I think too. I think that you'll see, and this is why I was always in favor of keeping Caruso, because Caruso maybe doesn't take a lot of threes, but he makes them at a high efficiency, and he makes them when you needed him to make them in clutch moments. And that was always something that I thought was undervalued. And I'm not saying that volume isn't important. I understand that it creates space, that it helps spread the defense out. I get that. At some point, you also need to make them. And at some point, you respect a guy enough, whether he's taking 3 threes a game or 12, if he makes it at a 40% clip, you still don't sag off of him, not because he doesn't take 12, but because he does hit them at a high enough rate. All Vando has to do is shoot 35 to 40% on corner threes and shoot 3 to 4 a game. Play the defense at the level that we know he's capable of, and that is enough of a threat. He doesn't need to be a volume 3-point shooter. Same with Hachimura. I think we've tried to get Hachimura into this like bomber mentality, and I think Hachimura is just so much better when he plays on the wing, isolated against a smaller, weaker defender who's able to like take into the post and score on. We saw him do that against Murray, and it almost won us 2 playoff games. We just didn't go to it enough. I felt like we started going back to things that didn't really work yet. And so I am of the opinion, and like all of my opinions, should it prove to be otherwise, I'll be happy to be wrong. I'm not married to being right. I happen to be right a lot because I base my opinions on reality. And I don't like go out on a limb like, we're going to trade for a rocket ship. And I would love a rocket ship. I love rocket ships, but I just don't think I'm going to get one anytime soon. But I think that we have enough. I think that what we've talked about today, and I think the consensus that the 3 of us actually have, is one way or another, if everybody's healthy, which is always the number one and 2 of any NBA team, everybody stay healthy, and excel in your role. Because if you don't stay healthy, that's when you get multiple starting lineups. That's when your rotation gets all out of whack, yada yada. And that's basically what happened to Vogel when he got fired, and that's exactly what happened to him when he got fired. They didn't have healthy seasons, and as a result, they were penalized. I also happen to think Darvin Ham was in oversight. Huh? You would agree with
that totally when it comes to Darvin Ham. Darvin Ham self-destructed himself with his.
I would agree with that, but I think he also self-destructed himself because he was forced to start changing what he wanted to do in preseason last season when he didn't have Vincent and when he didn't have Vando. Those are the 2 like cornerstones of the defense.
Even when he had Vincent, when he had Vando, he didn't make the right moves and so forth.
I'm not going to disagree.
He never made the right moves in the lineups. He never made the right rotations.
No, I'm not going to.
He never really. Yeah, I don't even want to get into an argument over this.
We don't need to. He's
Jesus
gone.
Christ.
And we don't have time because I got to leave in a couple of minutes.
All right, let's do this. Michael, what are your last thoughts?
My last thoughts is the Lakers will probably make a trade, and it will 90 to 95% be somebody we have not talked about.
Yes, I love that.
I mean, the last time they made a trade for somebody that everybody saw coming was AD. I mean, we didn't see Dennis coming. We didn't see Westbrook coming. We didn't see D'Lo coming. None of these things.
They filled the holes really well this year too. It's been
so it's like there'll be a trade, but I have absolutely no idea who that's going to be because they just do not. The names are out there that we never seem to end up with. They always surprise us. That's my prediction.
There's a dozen guys out there that I think we could easily trade for. It's just that you just don't know who the hell it's going to be because the front office has really done a good job of finding those employees who have loyalties to Shams and Woj and everybody else, and made sure.
Remember when Magic was in charge, how everything was leaked?
Oh yeah, you get 3 or 4 different sources at once. It was like
all you had to do is give Magic a compliment, and he'd give you a leak.
Yeah,
Magic, you look good today. By the way, you know who we're going to trade for? All right, Tom. Last thoughts. And Michael, if you got to go. Don't worry about it. Tom.
My last thoughts are the Lakers. The Lakers are not done. The Lakers are not done. They're going to make a major trade. They're going to go. They're going to try to shoot for at least one more star player who can shoot threes, and they'll probably keep one of the picks. They'll probably trade one pick for this player.
That is the most realistic thing I think I've heard you say in like 2 or 3 weeks. And I kind of actually agree with that. I think the player they're going to try to trade the most is Rui Hachimura. And I think they would go as high as, like 1 first rounder, unprotected-ish, maybe top 3, 4, 5, somewhere in there. Or 2 first rounders with a lot of protections, top 10.
I wish they'd go and try to get Markkanen, because it's a crazy thing. Because
I think they'll try. I just think we can be easily outbid.
That's the thing that still kills me, Jamie, is what is really trying. You know what I'm saying? That
no, I get you.
There's a gambler's mentality that Jerry Buss had that his daughter just doesn't have.
No, but no. That's a totally unfair comparison because Jerry Buss didn't face the punitive tax caps and
of course not. And
so
he was not
because
the inheritor. So, but I mean, there's something about now. Take a look at the Knicks.
Sure.
The Knicks, for example, now are doing making the kind of moves that I've always felt the Lakers should move. They were going all in. They went and the Celtics did the exact same thing. They went all in.
Kinda.
Now, listen, they're facing luxury taxes now and a whole situation. They've got to still give White his big extension. I mean, they went out in the marketplace and made moves. The Mavericks have gone all in. All of these teams going all in, and the Lakers are sitting there still with a healthy AD and a healthy LeBron. To me, I think here's the key. If LeBron really is going to make that sacrifice in salaries, the Lakers have no choice, I think, but to go all in.
I'm sure that's a conversation that they're having on the side.
That's got to be the trade-off because they're, like you said, I think that they're not naturally people who go all in on something. So if LeBron can motivate them by giving them a $50 million incentive to help them be able to do that.
Forgive me, Alan. I can't help it. No, I think you're right. I'm sorry, Alan. I'm sorry. I'm not really trolling you. It's just funny. It's a good joke. Come on. Yeah, exactly. So listen, if LeBron misses time, it doesn't matter. People are saying like, if we trade Rui, what happens if LeBron misses time? With LeBron, it doesn't matter. If LeBron's out, this team's not going anywhere. We've seen that in the past. There's no overcoming that. Same with AD, frankly. The defense is going to crater. That's just what's going to happen, right? That it's like if Giannis goes out, the Bucks are sunk. They're not going to, it's so on and so forth. If the guy you're paying max salary to goes down, you have a max salary hole in your roster, and you don't fill it with somebody, a rookie or a vet minimum guy. I don't care how skilled the vet minimum guy was a couple of years ago. It just doesn't work. And nobody creates gravity the way LeBron does, inside or out. So those are just the reality of the situation, and that's why when guys go down, it's a whole thing for the team to overcome. I would like to see us. I would like to see. I mean, I like Rui. I don't have a problem with Rui. I think we could have a better player for a role that fits on this team better than Rui does. But if we wake up on training camp and Rui's on the team, I won't be mad about it. And I'll be. I think as we both will, we'll be rooting for all these guys. So you're not going to do a draft day special tomorrow with Joe? You really? Come on.
Free agency? Well, no. The thing.
I'm sorry. Free agency special.
Yeah, no, it worked. Actually, the ones that are manageable are when you're on the trade deadline, because you've got a deadline. This is no deadline. You got an open end.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, you're right. That's a big
difference. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, you're right. There is an infinite amount of time, and this is a little bit more fine.
There's it's.
All right.
Then you can't make any more deals at that point in time. By the time it ends,
for like 2 whole months, you have to wait for 2 months.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's terrible. All right. Well, that's we're gonna wrap it. It's terrible when you can't make trades for 2 whole months.
So let's hope for a good MLE and a good trade. And if those two things happened, it was probably a sign that LeBron, if LeBron really does make a concession like that to help the Lakers improve the team, I think that's a great sign. That's the type of thing that is also a recognition by LeBron too, that this is a difficult situation that we're in, and it's also too an important time if you want to take advantage of LeBron James and Anthony Davis as 2 superstars that you have. There's next year maybe the last realistic shot that they have to do it. And so if LeBron is willing to sacrifice some of his salary in order to help the team be able to add a $13 million player through the MLE, and I think then if they do that, they've got to at least make a trade for another player. And if we can get a couple players to improve the team that we've got, and we've got a coach that, let's say, can avoid the mistakes that Darvin Ham did, this team has a good shot. They're not going to be one of the favorites. There's no stretch of the imagination of that. But I think that last year, things for teams are totally different teams when things are going right and things are going wrong. Every team's got a floor and a ceiling. And last year we saw this team a lot closer to the floor than we did ever see the ceiling. 2 years ago, we saw it get close to the ceiling of that team, I think, to make the conference finals. I think that this team could be better than that team, but we need a couple of moves. We need a couple of breaks. I happen to think the basketball gods are smiling a little on us. I think that's how I look at being able to get JJ Redick and being able to get Dalton Knecht. I think that those were 2 moves that were definitely helped because of circumstances with the basketball gods. And I was hoping for the same thing with DeJounte, but it didn't happen. But on the same time, there are always other avenues. And so I'm very optimistic that we're going to see some action. And in the next couple of days, the Lakers may add a couple of players to the lineup and be in a much stronger position. And we'll look forward to the season. That's what I'm hoping.
Always looking forward to the season. I mean, we're once we get into the middle of next week or so, depending on how much free agency gets solved by Monday night, it's a long time before worthy news comes through. So it just gets to be like, oh, well, this is what I think, and this is what I think, and it's all like, okay, cool, great. We're all thinking thoughts. It's wonderful that we can all think thoughts, and it is wonderful, and it's great that we can express them to one another in a civilish way. I'd like to thank.
Hey, listen, we could be in a lot worse situation right now than we are. I mean, I'm so encouraged because of Redick.
Okay.
That's just such a major difference in the philosophy of the team, what they're going to do. We're going to see a modern Lakers team for a change.
We'll see. I know that's your hope. I appreciate your hope. My hope is that we are just healthy, that we play hard when the games matter, and we compete at a high level. I think that I'm curious to see. What it's going to start with the Summer Classic, right? When we get into Summer League, we're going to see what, if anything, has changed at like the rudimentary level, right? If we see a bunch of kind of like interesting plays being run by the kids in the Summer Classic, that tells me that Reddick printed out certain plays, gave them to whoever's coaching. So I think he's going to be there. I don't think he's going to coach the team. I'll be surprised if he coaches the team. Let's put it that way. I'll be very surprised if he coaches.
I kind of think the other way around. I think he's going to do it. I think he's going to coach the team. We'll see what happens.
All right, we'll see. All right, so Los Angeles Clippers star Paul George is declining his $48.7 million option and entering free agency, sources tell ESPN. That to me is not a surprise.
Yeah.
That to me is not a surprise at all. I don't think he's going to get $48.7 million, unfortunately, unless it's specifically from.
Well, Kawhi took less, and so they want him to take less.
He's not going to do it. He's been healthier than Kawhi. He's carried his team.
I can see that PG thinks that's a little unfair.
Oh yeah, and
I played 74 games this year, man. I mean,
and how long has he
74 games? I'm here.
How long has he been a Clipper, and how far into the playoffs have they gone?
Yeah,
it hasn't worked out so well for him. So no. I don't see a good reason. I mean, he can make close to max, if not max.
Well, but it is a new arena. First year in a new arena.
Steve Ballmer dug his own grave with that arena. He can lie in it. At least he didn't knock down the Forum. That's all. That's the only positive I'll ever give the guy. Daryl Morey will try to reel Georgia now. That's not a bad observation. I could see there being a series of deals to get Paul George onto Philly, and it'll be interesting if Paul George takes
the Warriors
less.
Or the Warriors.
I don't know. I think the Warriors are going to try to go internally a little bit more than people are giving them credit for. I think they're going to try to elevate Podziemski. I can never say his names right. Podziemski, Passamaquoddy. That's just my 2 bits. I mean, we'll see what happens. That's just what I think. I think that they're looking at a tax bill that approaches billions, and they go, we got money, but we don't have that much money.
When you raise the value of the franchise $4 or $5 billion.
Yeah, but they don't have that money on hand.
I know, but they raised the value. They raised the value of the franchise.
Sure,
$5 billion, man.
Anyway,
if you raise the value of the franchise $5 billion, what's a couple $100 million worth of luxury taxes?
Tell that to your kids. All right, listen. I'm not the Cubs. I don't know. I'm not involved in it. I don't really even pay that much attention to the Warriors. By design, I'm not a Warriors fan. Lakers and Sparks, baby. Lakers and Sparks and Angels but I live in Northern California, so I get it. You're inundated. I understand. There's no.
My son even became a Warriors fan.
That's understandable. I can't. Like I said, I don't involve myself.
I almost disowned him, but
I don't involve myself in family politics. I don't involve myself in the Wong family politics. I don't involve myself in the James family politics. I have my own family politics to deal with. I love it. This is how we're going to go. All right. So with the news that Paul George is likely leaving the Clippers in free agency or pulling a LeBron and signing for less, which I vastly doubt. We'll see, but I kind of doubt it. And Russ picked up his option. We didn't talk about that, but Russ also picked up his option and is staying for one more season with the Clippers when he likely didn't see a better situation and or money out there for him.
Yeah.
We'll never know. Probably, I'm thinking more of the situation. I think somebody would.
I'm surprised that he wouldn't leave L.A., but.
No, he's got home. He loves LA. Everybody wants to live here, Tom. You know that. Everybody wants to live here.
No, I moved from LA, so
that explains a lot. And on that note, I would like to thank Laker Tom, Michael H., and the entire chat. Joe Sorrell, JSJ, Alan Gervais, Kurt Affair, M, Cool Bro, and his various aliases, and of course our entire Laker Fast Break family of Stone, Gerald. I'm going to forget somebody. Nick Molina. Empire Jeff TV, Daniel Berry Sports. I know I'm forgetting somebody. So to all you guys out there who come on the shows and contribute, we appreciate it very much. And everybody have a great Sunday. Go to the beach. It's a lovely day.
All right. Go Lakers.
Go Lakers and Sparks.